part two.
Part two.
Of the whole...
Twin flame sex.
All right,
We're talking about...
Yeah, just a brief recap. You want to do that?
Well, we just answered some questions that were sent to us about twin flames and sex. So, this is a continuance. If you're underage, cut it off. Don't get in trouble.
Don't cut it off.
I think we'll put an age thing on this.
All right. So, I think we stopped with the last question, what does the experience feel like? And then we had this question, and this is, I think, why we needed to have that little pause in between. Mm-hmm. Is there a right or wrong time? That is interesting. Because...
It just is. Go ahead.
Because it's this, when you're in that, I mean, time doesn't even exist. So looking for something.
There kind of is no such thing.
Right.
Yeah.
So the question is there a right or wrong time? You're without time in that moment, so why would you? I don't know if that you could find a way to make that right or wrong.
Well, let me explain to you what's probably going through some of our subscribers' minds, considering they've watched our journey. And they know what happened in the very, very, very beginning. And we met quite a few times. And although the first time we met, when we went to the pizza place, did we go back to my place?
No.
We did not.
Did not.
But eventually, when we did start going back to my place, we would do other things, but you would not.
Nope.
Go all the way. Let's keep
No.
it PG a little bit.
Would not go all the way. Wouldn't go. Because it was too magical, too special. You know what sounds strange about this? I can hear myself even now, hearing where it was too magical, it was too special. I'm saying it was, but I wasn't at that point. I wasn't in that space to be in that, to feel like I was good enough for special or magical. I mean, we still have those issues, but in that moment, the way that it was just like this energy that was just so floating. Floating's a good word. There was a floating experience that was happening there, and it wasn't time bound, and it was just this magical experience of touch, magical experience of taste, magical experience of feel, and magical experience of see. It was just all of these things it was like it was heightened, but it was more of a present moment experience that I never felt good enough for. And when that got pushed, I guess that would have been, and it wasn't really about time, it was just, was I all in all the way? I don't know how that came out, but I'm sitting. I meant, never mind. Wrong. Just know that what I'm saying is there's a space there where I wasn't able to give all of myself because I didn't even know what that meant.
Right.
So it felt
like.
So
I'm thinking you're gay, you're clearly married. You have some type of disease.
You can speculate
that
all
you didn't want to transfer to me.
Even all of the speculation you could have wasn't me telling you. It wasn't me rejecting you.
Right.
That was me rejecting myself.
Right.
So, So, what happened?
Well, I mean, because the reason I bring that up is because in normal everyday situations, right, that isn't the case. That's you're giving me the opportunity, I'm going to jump on it.
Right.
We got to stop.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, and that's just facts. Especially coming from the divine masculine. Especially coming from the masculine, they're going to want to get in on that as soon as they can.
I was rejecting masculine divine in the first place. So it was almost, I was a masculine, and I was deeply rooted in masculine, but there was nothing divine about it.
Gotcha.
And until I understood that there was such a thing, and then I understood what such a thing was going to give me.
Don't your wife iron for you?
What's my wife got to do with it? That's like asking, does my twin know how to light my fire? So anyway, it literally opens up Pandora's box because I didn't feel worthy of it at that point.
Mm-hmm.
Nor did I know that I didn't feel worthy of it. And what was strange about that is here I am out there doing everything with everybody else. But there was something very special and very unique and very, I don't know, it was just above and beyond anything that I knew could exist. So there was a part of me that said, yeah, but you're really not good enough for this. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
So you took that as a rejection, but I didn't take it as a rejection, but I took it more as though this is where I'm kind of stuck at. This is the space I'm in. And I didn't understand that at that point, whether it was something, well, anyway. So what if you have sex with your twin flame on the first date or meeting? Well, cool thing is you let go of judgment and just let yourself be in that moment. The regret comes after or before. I mean, it's the regret or it's a judgment that you have after. Why would you, if you didn't have it then, why are you putting it in you now? So the what if you have sex with your twin when you first meet, this connection's powerful. Are you saying that it's okay to feel disconnected when you're feeling such a strong connection in that way? That's your rejection, not the other person. But they will probably take it as rejection. I said that right?
You said that right.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Did you have anything there?
No, I don't think so. I think you touched it. It just it ruined things. No, it didn't. At the time, I thought that. At the time, I thought, oh God, this ruined everything, right? I couldn't get you out of there fast enough, though. I didn't want. The energy was so weird and so strange and so guarded.
Because all my rejection was available.
I needed you to go as quick as you could get out. Like, gee, look at the time type of stuff.
So I was in rejection and you wanted me to go?
Yeah.
There's a deep message in that somewhere. Please look at it.
Yeah.
That's kind of what I was saying.
Like, when you pulled out the driveway, I was literally peeking through the blinds.
Yeah.
And as soon as you pulled out, it was like a sigh of relief. Like, oh.
Did I burn out? I think I peeled out.
Did you peel out?
Yeah, I think I'd like floored. I don't remember.
I don't remember.
That's the true moment of a runner. So anyway, how is sex with your twin flame different from sex with anyone else?
Well, we may have covered that, I think, in the first video.
Yes.
I think we have.
Revert back to that one. The biggest difference, I would say, is there's a part of your wholeness that shows up in that, I believe in that connection in that way. Mm-hmm. That really is exhilarating, but it's freeing. And it's almost like without any time, it takes away linear time.
Right.
It really does. Makes you see expansion or makes you see.
We have been in bed until 5 p.m. before.
Yes.
p.m. In bed until 5 p.m. From the night before. Nothing to eat, only water to drink that we brought in the room with us. We literally lost track of time.
You're not in time when you're that way. If your twin flame isn't curling your life and you have had relations with him and now he's with someone else and you've gone your way, how does that affect reunion, or better yet, does it really affect the energy between the two? We've done that.
We've done it.
Okay, so here's the thing about when we actually probably went into this, we knew that even being with somebody else, there was something that was not going to be present. I think we both knew that. It wasn't that, but you still have your human urges, and those human urges are still going to be there, but there's going to be an enhancement to those human urges that now you're going to have to say that's not going to be met. And there's a part of you that says I shouldn't do it because that's not going to be met, but there's another part of you that says you don't. So what happens is you have an internal conflict. So the internal conflict shows up. Some people take a certain road that they call the high road and say, well, I'm not going to be with somebody else because they are. That's not necessarily a high road. It's just a road in a different direction that leads to a place where you actually get to come into resentment. And the resentment, it doesn't even happen to the other person. The other person now has to take the weight of the entire connection and know that they're not going to get fulfilled, but they think if they keep trying it enough, they will. So it almost causes an adverse effect, which we went through.
Yeah.
And then we went through where we both were with different people, but we could feel the other person with that person because it was like a calling. And I guess that's a good way to put it. It's a calling, and it's a very painful calling because you're not in the present moment with them or in that experience with them. And it's like a yearning or a feeling like I have all of this and this person isn't recognizing it, which means you have to reject a part of yourself during that interaction.
Correct.
Okay.
Pretty sure you hit it.
Okay.
I
if
gotta
you
stop.
rewind that back.
I gotta stop.
Yeah, but if you rewind. I hit it.
I gotta stop.
Sorry. So, but if you go back and probably listen to that a couple of times, it'll start to make more sense. When they're with somebody else and you're not, you're going to feel like, how can they just do it with anyone? But you don't realize that energy that you're not using has to go someplace, and it usually goes to the other end of the connection point. It's like giving somebody Thor's mighty hammer and saying, use it. and you're Thor. Right? So that doesn't make sense, but it literally shows up that way. So one of the things that shouldn't happen is you should be able to realize that you're being with yourself and you're choosing to do that with somebody else. You have to understand that you're connected to you. What the other person that you're with may experience something quite unusual because you are connected to you. If you have to disconnect from yourself, then I can see why you don't do it. Mm. Does that make sense?
Makes sense.
Okay.
I got it.
Okay. Would you want to touch on 5D sex too? Did you experience it? How did that affect your current partners? Did you feel compelled to be celibate? Well, let's break this down. 5D.
Okay, we touched on that in the first video with the images.
Okay.
Versus the not.
What some call astral, right? No, she's. Come on, Gemma. That's enough. Okay, well,
Why when we're recording?
We apologize.
And now her tags are hitting. Her tags are hitting the.
Yeah, we apologize for that interruption. I think she's done. Okay, sorry.
Thank you, Gemma.
Our apologies. We'll try to edit this out. If not, that's okay.
Yeah, we're not gonna. Yeah. Sorry about that.
Yep.
Anyway, with the 5D or the twin flame sex being, I hate to put the word sex on it because it's just not that. 3D is sex.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
The word sex is going to be more 3D than any 5D experience that you're going to have with intimacy and physical touch.
Right.
We have had those 5D intimate moments where we didn't even touch. It was just a look.
Yes.
Or just a touch. If you're in that space, just a touch. Or I could. I've been in the space too, where I could feel. Right. I've also been in the space where I could feel you with someone else.
Right.
And then it was confirmed the next day that was in fact true.
Right.
But there's such a big difference, but just to touch on the tip of it, I really need to stop. I really need to stop.
That's what she said. No, I'm sorry.
Okay.
The office moment. That was an office moment. Sorry.
I really need to stop. But just to give you a little bit of information on that, you don't have to fantasize. You don't have to think about other things. Your mind isn't going crazy. You don't have to stop and think, okay, I need to focus. In 3D sex, you're going to catch yourself doing that. You're going to catch yourself not being as fulfilled when you experience this 5D experience is a good word.
Right.
It's all the senses at the same time. Without getting too graphic, a 3D experience is going to be a touch, then a taste, then a sound, right? Then a sight. It varies. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Now I'm feeling it here. Now we're kissing, right? Now I'm being touched there.
Right.
Now there's words being spoken in my ears that do things.
Mm-hmm.
Now I'm seeing things that I don't normally see, right? I'm seeing body parts and a physique that isn't normally out, right? And that's a 5D or that's a 3D experience, each sense. Some combine at the same time, like the touch and the taste would be experienced at once, right? I'm the type of person where sound actually helped, right? Listening to sounds. The more 5D experience is going to be all at once, all at the same time, and you can't even think to differentiate.
Right.
You can't even think to be like, okay, relax, just let this happen. Where in 3D sex, a lot of times, especially in females, we tend to have to go off someplace else in our minds. Even as much as we love and are attracted to our partner, females seem to need to go to other spaces to be able to get to the place where they're going, which would be orgasm, by the way. And then, you know what I mean? The difference in orgasm is going to be where the 3D sex is going to be more of a localized area.
Right.
You're going to feel it when you ejaculate. Females are going to feel it more when they have that orgasm. Where in more of a 5D setting, when you're with the one you're connected to, it's a full body experience. There have been times when I felt like I came in, I don't want to say that word, where I entered your body. I was going to say, never mind.
Somehow that still doesn't sound right.
But I was feeling what you felt, which was really strange for me because I hadn't had a drop of alcohol or anything. But I literally felt and sometimes still do, what it feels like to be a man inside of a woman. And whoa.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, you telling me. That's why some of them don't last that long. It's 30 seconds.
Right.
The clock ticks. It's like, it's like a spider trap.
That's why women have to build up to that. In a 3D setting, we have to build up with sight, sound.
I've got 30 seconds. But anyway, listen. Because here's
Linda.
how I experience it, or
I
experienced it. Because what I experienced, I have a very unusual way with words. I think we could all agree with that.
I think we all can.
So what I experienced was in my dream state, or when my sleep state, when I was with you, it was like I gave you all of my senses and you gave me all of yours, and it was this exchange, and every sense had a explosion to it, if you will. So if I was smelling, it had an explosion to it. That was just something magical. If I was seeing something, it was like my focus changed. If it was my taste, everything tasted like it was just made of banana pudding. We'll talk about that at a different time. And then everything, stop. So then touch was just even more powerful, more magical. But it was all of that without thought. It was just like, it came together, and it was like, I could smell what you smelled, feel what you felt, and it was like an exchange of that. And it was very powerful. And even when we've had that outside of that, and when we lost time and we just literally were together in that way, it was like we had this ability to do that. It's an ability. I believe it's an ability that all of this connection deeply has, but I believe it's at the same time, I believe it's a part of it. It's a part of the strength of this connection that we feel in that push-pull and the physical. So you may not give all of the senses, but the senses are alive in you, and you become very rooted in your body. And next thing you know, everything that you want to think just disappears from you. It escapes you. So yes, I would say we definitely experience that, and we continue to still experience that. And in some ways, it shows up almost in different places, in different ways. We could literally be in the middle of a heated fight or something, and that energy is becoming, you can see it growing. And it's almost like, no, there's this release that's going to be coming. Or if we're even getting close, or we're holding hands, it still shows up. It shows up in every aspect. It shows up in my sleep. It shows up in her sleep. We really kind of open up about it, but we also open up about, it was weird because it felt like we were there, but we weren't there. So I would say, to me, 5D, without in the human word sex, the 5D soul just combination experience of the senses shows up, and it's literally like nothing you've ever seen. Now the thing is when you anticipate that being the way it's going to be, you have to let go of the anticipation and just let yourself give what you want to receive. And that's what part I believe happens in 5, that we just don't have any, we just let it happen, and we don't have any control over it, and it just shows up, and it's this very powerful, magical experience. So it comes across differently. It experiences itself differently. Do you have any advice for those that are unable to enjoy intimacy because of the intensity of twin flame sex, either in the physical or in the spirit? Oh, wait a minute. Did you feel compelled to be celibate? Yeah. I mean, well, here's the thing. Once you actually experience that 5D part, it's like you're walking around with it.
You didn't be celibate.
No, I did. I did experience that. Well, in 2009 I did. I literally, at the beginning, when
you
I
were
was
celibate in 2009.
Literally, I went through months of not, because I was just like, I was in that nastiness. I was purging.
Okay.
So no,
Okay.
I did go through that, and I literally just had no
Well,
space.
you had no desire to breathe at that point. So any type of sex would
But
have been.
what I'm saying is
But don't. But I don't want to get so. I don't want to confuse them so bad, because from my recollection, even when you were going through that sort of dark night of the soul, you were still having lady callers.
No. And that ended in December of 2008, and from there through, I was literally just going through that complete awakening, but not just more than an awakening, more of a rebirth, which was almost like re-emerging or reimagining or re-experiencing virginity. It literally felt like that. It was just like, because I didn't know who I was or how I was going to be in the world. Remember, all of my words changed. When that happened, I didn't have any way to talk like that anymore. That would open those kinds of doors.
But in the middle of that incident, there was an incident where you were not celibate. In the middle of that.
Okay, and that may be true. For some people, it could be true that but what you're actually asking me is, did I want it, and did I have myself cut off in a sexual sense in that way?
Mm-hmm.
I was cut off in a sexual sense in that way. From myself spiritually.
Gotcha.
From myself physically, even if it showed up, I wasn't present for it. Not only that, I was actually in the space of that rejection of it because of what I was feeling. So it really wasn't what you think. Because I could see how it would look like that wasn't the case, but I promise you, it literally was. And there was nothing about it that was turned on or put aside, or like I just wasn't. It's hard for me to explain.
I understand what you're saying.
And I get that there could probably be some people saying, well, that's not the same. Yeah, there's a space in you where you're like, no, I'm never going to be the same again.
I can analogize this a little bit, but I know that I know exactly what you're saying. I never had the urge to practice celibacy, right? Here's the thing. When you are, once you've experienced what Lee's talking about is, once you've experienced that overtaking, right? Mm-hmm. That 5D spiritual sexual experience, right? I don't want to say compare. Nothing compares to that, though. No. And so it's very much like, let's go with, what drug are we gonna use today? Let's try a drug. Let's try crack. Here's the thing. I don't know much about it, but I'm going to do the best I can.
This will be interesting.
It's like I've read many articles, but and experience it with family members, things like that. But here's the thing, or cocaine or anything,
the withdrawal.
the general consensus is once you get it the first time, the very first time you hit that crack pipe or you snort that cocaine. Or do a hit of acid, whatever. It's just very euphoric.
You chase that high,
and nothing compares to that first high. Does that make sense? Which turns a normal person into an addict,
right?
Because they're always chasing that first experience of it. Does that make sense?
Oh yeah.
And so,
which I think leads to why this connection seems to give the masculine this. Oh, I could get this anywhere,
right?
And it's not the case.
So what you do is you chase that in order to try to attain that high again. And it's surprisingly disappointing when it doesn't get met, when those expectations doesn't get met, right? So then some people will just keep going for the rest of their lives and until they take too much and die, or you just let it go. Well, I'm never, I can't do this the rest of my life. And then what happens is there's a withdrawal period, a sickness, a yearning, a longing, right? I really want to do that again.
Yep. And then comes the speech of, can I trust letting myself have that again? Is the only person I can have this with is this person. What you're really trying to say is that they hold a key to something on the inside of you, where you're the one that built the door and built the key and built the doorknob and the lock and everything else. You've always had this within you. This person just came along and you decided that it was okay to open it up. That's literally what happens.
Right. So I had to use it sort of like a drug, because you're always chasing that spiritual experience that you've had. Every experience, without even thought about it, every experience that I had since experiencing the 3D or the 5D experience with you has only been a 3D sexual experience.
It was actually either 2D or 1D in most cases.
Very much so.
Yeah,
it was just going through the motions. And
it was to try to be present with somebody who wasn't going to be present
with right. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, very much so.
Okay. Do you have advice for those that are unable to enjoy intimacy because of the intensity of twin flame sex, either in the physical or in the spirit?
I think we just talked about that.
Yeah. You have to look at your connection to intimacy. I know that it sounds strange, but what I'm actually pointing it to is, how do you connect to intimacy? How do you allow yourself to be intimate and then to open that up and share that? That's where you're going to see the biggest thing, or that's where the advice would be given. What is your connection to intimacy, and how do you actually share that intimacy and open that intimacy and actually experience that intimacy in this moment or any others? It's going to really point to that more than anything else. The intensity itself is coming from that intimacy and your connection to it. I can't shake mine. He's in my head talking to me. His vibration is all around me, and I'm busy right now too. He keeps popping into my feeds with mutual friends. It's insane right now. We never had sex, but we were super physical. Can you talk about how that makes for an even more difficult separation period? Absolutely. It's like dangling a carrot in front of a rabbit. No pun intended. It literally is. It's what is it that stopped? If you became super physical, where did that super physical, that part where you actually felt that super part of it, or the really strong part of it, how did you open up all the other areas to be super too? In other words, your communication, your emotions, your heart, your opening up your mind, and just really making those things super as well. If some of those were off, or if some of those were, all of those weren't available, and the only thing there was the physical, that's really where your answer is going to lie. And that's where the separation is going to have to occur. The separation doesn't really have to occur if you find a way to open those without judgment.
Yeah.
Okay. Could 5D intimacy still lead you astray in disconnection? The question's kind of confusing. Well, not confusing. I think I could answer it, but I'm going to answer it in a way that I don't know that's going to... When did 5D know what disconnection was? Hopefully somebody, if you see that down there, if you can look and say, well, 5D knows what disconnection is, does it accept disconnection as much as it accepts connection? I mean, wouldn't it be balanced in 5D? Wouldn't it understand that some things that come together ultimately do come apart, but that doesn't mean that they're not still together? I mean, the space in between is what I guess I would be looking at. Is that space the same as what's causing connection and disconnection?
Mm-hmm.
It's like a piece of a puzzle, I would imagine. You know, that big empty spot where you're looking for that missing piece and you're looking for it, and literally, if you look at it again, it may be there.
Mm-hmm.
Could it energetically set up as giving yourself away? Sometimes I wonder if I've gone too far spiritually in allowing it to happen when there's no physical connection. That's an interesting way to put it. Spirituality should be expansion of the human experience in the physical. So why would it be no physical connection?
Mm-hmm. I'd like to know more about that situation.
Yeah, whoever...
Email us and let us know more about that situation.
And I guess the question then becomes, what is spirituality? What is your definition of spirituality? And is it an expansion without any judgment, without any barriers? Does it understand that everything is, you're pretty much the universe walking around as a human being for a while? And what does it look like on the inside of you? So what is it that they can go to no physical connection? And it could also be, what is your physical connection to yourself?
Right. Just
like it is in intimacy. So I believe that was
helped.
all of them. Wow, we got through.
I hope that helped.
Yes, we hope it helps. If you have any further questions or if you need us, we're right here.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to be putting more of these out.
We
love
are.
you.
Get a hold of us for Root Camp.
Oh, yes. Yep.
Or if you would like to do what we do and become a coach,
Absolutely.
we will. We'd love to have you in the program and stick you out there.
And in the meantime, stay connected to you and the one you're connected to.